Hello, welcome to another day of Vlogmas. So today we are doing my book box battle setup. So in 2024, I would like to try to read some more of the books that I get in book boxes. I have been spectacularly crap at this ever since I've been subscribed to book boxes, which has been since like 2019. So my unread books from book subscription boxes that are still on my shelves number about 40 or 50. I have unhauled quite a lot unread, which isn't great, but also like I'm not super mad about it because I didn't pick the books. But there are a lot that I wanted to try and get read. Now I'm not going to obviously read all of them next year. I'm not going to even try and set myself that challenge. But my plan is every month, so I'm currently subscribed to 2 book boxes, Adult Fairy Loot and Illumicrate. So every month I will get probably 2 books from those book boxes. I will of course be using my skips, so I may not get 2 books. There potentially might even be some months when I don't get any books, but regardless, each month, no matter how many books I get sent that are new books, I will be picking books from this jar, which are my unread book box books, to make it up to 4 books. So if I get obviously both a Fairy Loot and an Illumicrate, I will pull 2 books out of this jar, and these 2 will go up against those 2 new ones, which as it happened would be Lies We Sing to the Sea and A Marvellous Light. So then my plan will be I will do a first chapter challenge on the 4 books that I have now got from book boxes. So they are 2 up to 2 from that are new books, and at least 2, I guess, that are old books. In my weekly reading vlog, the one that intrigues me the most from the first chapter I will be reading. If I finish that one, then I will pick up the one that intrigued me second most, third, fourth if I get round to it, etc. Anything that doesn't get read in that week will go back in here, which does mean that most likely this jar is only going to get fuller rather than lesser, but it should mean as well that I am actually kind of making progress through my book boxes. I am also going to add like a second kind of rule to it. So let's say I pulled out, because it's next to me, I pulled out Witch King. I gave it a first chapter challenge. It did not come first and I didn't read it in that week. It goes back in, but my bookmark stays at the end of the first chapter. If it comes out again, I don't reread the first chapter. I continue for one more chapter. So I read the first 2 chapters. Depending obviously on when it is, that might be a case of rereading, it might not be. So there is a potential that I'm going to start making like quite good progress through, because sometimes the first chapter is just set up and you're like, it's fine. But by the time you've got to say chapter 3 or chapter 4, you're like, actually I'm really intrigued, I'm getting into the plot. So I'm kind of wanting to do that so that if a book does come out multiple times, it does have more chance of kind of intriguing me more to continue reading it. Now, like I said, there are a lot of books in here. I'm going to just tip them all out and I'm going to tell you what all the titles are. I'm not going to hold them all up because, quite frankly, I can't be bothered. So we have got Little Thieves, which came in a Fairy Loot YA box. I haven't been subscribed to Fairy Loot YA since I think I stopped my subscription at the end of 22. So just to kind of give you an idea of how old these books are. We've got The Whisper in Dark, which also was a Fairy Loot YA book. A Marvellous Light, which was an Illumicrate book. Cute, which was an Afterlight book. I have, after September, actually that was the last book I got from Afterlight. I cancelled my Afterlight subscription. I was finding that the books that come just weren't really interesting me. I haven't read any of them. Jadefire Gold, which was a Fairy Loot YA. That is one of probably the older books that is on my shelves that have come from book boxes. Portrait of a Thief, which came from Illumicrate. Forget Me Not, which came from Afterlight. So yeah, there is going to be a mix in here. We have got romance in here as well. A Study in Drowning, which came from Illumicrate. That was a recent one. I think that one only came in October. This Vicious Grace, which was a Fairy Loot adult book. Couldn't remember what that book was then. The Luminaires, which was a Illumicrate book. That was the first book published by Daphne Press. God Killer, which came from Illumicrate. That one I believe was January 23. I really wanted to read that one as well. Haven't yet got to it. For Her Consideration, which came from Afterlight. Zara, which came from Illumicrate. That one doesn't particularly intrigue me. But do you mind? I've got Bella helping me, and so she's wanting to get these little bits of paper out. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, which was a Fairy Loot YA. Ooh. Immortal Longings, which was a Fairy Loot adult. I should say as well, if I do read any of these books like outside this challenge, that's fine. If they get pulled out, I'll just chuck them in the bin and get a new one. The Book Eaters, which was an Illumicrate book. Maybe I should have been counting these. I haven't. Book of Night, which was, I got it from Illumicrate. I believe Fairy Loot did a version as well. I am very unsure on that one because I have not heard any good things about Book of Night. The Adventures of Amina El Sarifi, which was a Fairy Loot adult book. That one potentially could get read quicker, depending on whether or not it was on the Goodreads Choice Awards. I've got True Love Experiment, just by Christina Lauren. That is a Afterlight box. The Stardust Thief was a Fairy Loot YA book. Ooh, what was that? In the Lives of Puppets, that was a Fairy Loot adult book. I do really want to read that. The Drowned Woods, which was Illumicrate. Nearly there, actually, no, that's a lie. The Foxglove King, which was a Fairy Loot adult. The Hurricane Wars, which was a Fairy Loot adult. Song of Silver, Flame Like Night, which was Illumicrate. Sorry, this is probably really, really boring, isn't it? Shanghai Immortal, which was a Fairy Loot adult. Lies We Sing to the Sea, which was from Illumicrate. Bella, keep your feet out, please. A River Enchanted, which was Illumicrate. I only got a few more left. The Jazzad Air, which was Illumicrate. Violet Made of Thorns, which was a Fairy Loot YA. Excuse me. After the Forest, which was Illumicrate. I believe that was this October one. Witch King, which was, I think, Illumicrate. Only a Monster, which was a Fairy Loot YA. Some Desperate Glory, which was Illumicrate. She keeps on sticking her foot in my pot. Make Your Mind This Christmas, which was an Afterlight. That is one that is on my December TBR, but again, it's going in the pot anyway. And the last one here, The Red Scholar's Wake, which was Illumicrate. So like I said, even ones that are on my TBR and that I'm hoping to read beforehand will be just going in the pot anyway. And again, if they get pulled out, I'll just pull a different one. So that is a jar full of BookBox boxes. There will BookBox boxes, BookBox books, box. Oh, that's so hard to say. There will be more added to this because I'm not starting this challenge until January. So the November boxes, which I actually at this moment in time haven't yet opened, I am pre-filming this, they will possibly also be going in here unless I happen to read them both in November or December, which is kind of unlikely, depending on when I haul them. And then again, same with December, they potentially will also be going in here before I start the challenge in January. I'm excited for this challenge. I'm just excited to kind of, because even though I have all of these books, all books, and they all do look interesting to me, they're all ones that I'm like, I don't think I want to read that one right now. I'll read it later. And because once it comes, then there is so much hype, and then I put it off for a while and I don't read it. I then kind of just not necessarily lose interest, but I forget what the hype was for it. So I'm excited to start this challenge, and hopefully it will be fun and I won't get too stressed with it. Who knows? Anyway, if you like this video, please leave me a like. Thank you, Bella. Can you get your tail out of the way? If you like this video, please leave me a like, subscribe down below, and got a tail in the way again, and I will see you tomorrow.